All right. In real estate funding and investing, when you're going for funding, what is redlining? Redlining could be redlining a street, right? So let's talk about it in the context of redlining a street or a group of streets or like a neighborhood, right? I'm an investor. I'm looking for funding. I have found a neighborhood that I am interested in, and now I'm told my LTV has changed or my rates have changed, and it all has to do with the fact that my neighborhood's been redlined. Now, a lot of brokers and stuff aren't even going to bother asking, hey, why is it redlined or anything? And a lot of lenders are going to tell you, like, it could be a list of reasons. Here are the primary two reasons why an area is redlined. And let's talk about what that means for your funding. Usually affects your LTV. So, an area that's redlined could mean high crime in that area, right? You're buying a house in a bad area. You probably know you're buying a house in a bad area. No one that I've talked to who's buying a house in a bad area has been surprised to hear they're buying a house in a bad area. So if you are doing it, you probably know. Especially if it's your second or third house you're flipping, you should know those things about the areas you're buying in. If it's your first, maybe you're a little naive to how bad a neighborhood really is. But if crime is relatively, or high relative to the areas around it, it might be redlined. Another reason is high defaults in that area. So they don't just look at cities, they don't just look at states, they don't just look at credit scores, they look at areas. And they say, look, you might have a perfect credit score, but in the last 6 houses on L Street in this part of Ohio, those all defaulted, or 60% of them went into default, or had missed payments, or just bad payment history even, right? So maybe as a company, they redline that area because there's just consistent problems. And what, in that case, right, you get redlined. Even if you have good credit, you're going to look at bringing more cash down. So if you were at putting 10% down on a flip, which is something you can qualify for here, now you might be putting 15. If you were going to have to put 15 because of the structure of the deal and what you qualified for, maybe now you have to put 20. All right? Red lines don't necessarily mean don't buy. It just means increased risk. You have increased risk. When you have increased risk, you have less buying power from the lender. Less borrowing power to get money from the lender, right? So the lender is always going to reduce their risk in those areas. They do that by lowering your loan value. They do that by increasing your rate and seeing if you still qualify. Okay? Those types of things are necessary.